Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. This is Coyote, and we're going to talk a little bit about the travelogue and the differences moving across the country in the van. Not moving, but traveling, moving around the country in the van. And we're going to do this in part as a review of a Westmoreland State Park in Virginia. It's coastal Virginia at the north end of what's called the Neck. So it's actually not very far from Northern Virginia proper, but it is very separated because it's a very small highway that goes up this little isthmus, and then you get to Fredericksburg, which still isn't quite Northern Virginia, Fredericksburg, Lynchburg. There's all these little towns, and then you slowly make your way up to like Arlington and Alexandria. Westmoreland State Park is a wonderful, pretty. There's plenty of trees. It's not too jungly, grassy. Like the bugs aren't, the ground bugs aren't a problem. The earwigs aren't a problem, for example. It is a little expensive. It's not very expensive for the area, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. The facilities are fantastic. Like the shower has wands. There's 2 showers for each campground, or maybe more when you get closer to the RV spaces. Because, of course, when you have an RV, you spend more money, so even though you have a shower, you need to have more external showers. Whatever. East Coast stuff. The showers are great. There's 2 of them, and it's probably a little crowded on the weekend. We haven't been able to get a reservation on the weekend, so we kind of don't know. The heads are good. The toilet seats are extremely high, and I think the person who installed them was also high. Excuse that. I do have occasional morning something. So it's good. The campsites are decent. You know, you have a parking area, and then you have a graveled campground with a fire pit just on the outside of it. And it works really well. It's 20 by 20. Most of the tents that you find are going to fit in that footprint. There's the picnic table that comes with that, which you could move into the parking area if your tent is too large. But it's just kind of, it is what it is. It's limited, but it's not as limited as some stuff I've seen. I've seen campgrounds where the tent footprint maximum is like 8 by 10. This is 20 by 20. It's pretty decent. I like it. It's adequate. If we had, because you're supposed to keep all of the lines and strings and support of your tent inside that 20 by 20 area, it's a little difficult to fit 2 tents. You know, you should be able to fit 2 10 by 10 tents just right there, but you won't be able to. Decent. Of course, it's on the East Coast, so it's about $40 a night if you're not a Virginia resident. It goes down to something like $28, $29. Nominally, this is $25 and $35 or something like that, but because it's an eastern state, even though it's a state service offered by the state government, it's still subject to a bunch of weird, indecipherable taxes and fees, and that's just life in the East. Especially when you get to the more conservative, quote unquote, freedom states of the East, it gets weirder and more bizarre and kind of creepy, actually. So it's not super cheap. On the other hand, we're on the East Coast, or in the eastern United States. We are east of the Mississippi, east of the Rockies. And there's kind of these shifts of how things work. West of the Rockies, or in the Rockies, free dispersed camping is generally something you can find. If you want to, if you're in between week-long campsites or something and you're driving and you need to sleeping at a rest stop is generally fine. Virginia is the most liberal eastern state we have been to out of whatever, 7 or 9 or something. And it does not permit overnight sleeping in your car at a rest stop. It does permit sleeping until you are safe to drive, but it specifically does not allow overnight. So it's kind of a gray area, and it really is going to depend on whether or not the state troopers want to harass you or like your van or like your license plate. If they don't like the looks of it, you're going to get harassed. And if you're in a bed box in the back and they can't tell that your old van is not full of brown people, then you're going to get harassed. Like you are. If you've got a 2008 road Trek, you're probably not going to get harassed. So it's very much a profiling enforcement thing, and that's just the way it is. I'm not saying anything is good or anything is bad or people are evil or whatever. It's just the way it is. Profiling is how it works. And that is the best. Most of the other states just absolutely no. Sometimes they close the rest stops at night. It's crazy. There's you can't even park a semi in the Walmart parking lot in Virginia overnight without fines, even if you're showing up early for a delivery and your log sheets say you need to sleep or something. You're not going. Like, you have to know. So it's a little weird. It's also the case that the further east you go, the fewer federal parks you have, the more you're dealing with state and county parks. And there are even city parks that have camping, and some of it is great. And sometimes you can find a little hidden gem that's going to be $15 a night, and you can stay for 10 days, and it's just actually gorgeous if you're doing this, because boondocking is difficult. At least for us so far. So here's the thing. The further east you go, and this is especially, I'm going to note, especially in the so-called freedom or conservative states, but it's almost as bad in the blue states. Like, it's really whatever. The differences are minor. You're going to run into something that I can only label as authoritarian socialism. Everything is fined, taxed, regulated, and licensed. Everything, including parking. So you don't, especially camping, so you don't get a lot of boondocking opportunities. One thing I will note in particular is that things get more expensive as you get out here. A RV park, which you may have to stay in even if you're van camping or tent camping, because tent camping is lower class and there just isn't much of it. RV parks can be more expensive than hotels. I mean, we're seriously talking not just $60 a night, which is the state park level of RV hookup camping, but $80 to $200 a night. I've been looking at it, $80 to $200 a night, and that's just, it's fine if you have an RV and you have a $10,000 a month income. If you're trying to do this on a lower budget, you're not going to get there. The state parks, when you can get into them, or the county parks, generally are a little better. Like $36 to $40 a night here is okay. It's not horrible for the area. It's absolutely insane if you want to try to live like this. So, but for a couple nights, it's doable. There's no discounts, unless this is one of the things that is very culturally different. And I don't want to say these people are bad or make a judgment or be all negative or anything, but these people are very different in their outlook and how they think. In Virginia, and Virginia is perfectly average for a state east of the Rockies, or at least east of the Mississippi, perfectly average. You can get a discount on your camping fees and your park access fees and your parking fees and the 3 fees that you had to pay to do the camping overnight. You can get a discount if you are a state documented 100% disabled veteran. If you're 90%, nope. If you're 50%, nope. In the West, quite often there are many states just have a veterans discount, period. Might be 10%, might be 50%. But there is a veterans discount. Now, there's usually a special program with a bunch of free stuff if you're a 100% disabled veteran. Like, you'll never pay for a fishing license for the rest of your life. But the further east you go, you get into these places where it does not matter at all unless you are registered with the state and do a bunch of paperwork, go to a bunch of meetings as a 100% disabled veteran. So there's no discount. there's no nothing. Um, I am kind of boggled by this, but it's the way it works. There's also, there's a lot of military bases in Virginia, and quite frankly, Virginians do not want military members using Virginia's infrastructure, even though they pay for it. That's just, that's it's the East Coast mercantile mentality which suffuses everything. And it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, Socialist, DSA, it's a culture of a very specific kind of mercantilism, and that's just the way it is. So these are the things you have to get around as you go. There are hippie communes. There's tons of stuff. You can, there's whatever the next Asheville is. Asheville's been done and overdone and is now more heavily regulated than Northern Virginia. So whatever. You'll find something if you're looking for something. But if you're traveling around, you're just trying to go up and down the coast and explore some things, just be prepared, because you need to plan ahead, you need to figure out your prices, and you need to make your schedule. That's just kind of how the East Coast works. It's a very strange place that way. So that's, once again, Westmoreland State Park in Virginia, fantastic. No discounts. Lots of fees for non-residents, lots of additional fees. There's no come use it, come visit Virginia. Virginia's for lovers, come be our tourist. No, it's extra fees. And it's everything has extra fees. So boat ramps, swimming at the beach, whatever. There's an extra fee if you're not a resident. It's going to cost more. Again, it's fine. It's not a judgment. It's the way people in the East think about each other and the world, and it's just part of the culture. So what else? That does mean that as you get further towards the Atlantic, everything gets more expensive, but the gas is cheaper, so that balances out some. Food choices are interesting. There's a lot more canned food as you get east, and sometimes the fresh food, the fresh meats, and the fresh vegetables have good choices, but generally the selection is often slightly better quality and slightly less, or a lot less, choice. And that's fine. That's fine. It is easier in areas like this to find farm stands and little market gardens and stuff. It's not a dry, desolate wasteland, which is what most people think of the entire country west of the Rockies as being. And it is arid in the West. So, it's not completely without merit. It's just an over exaggeration. So, that's it. Travelogue. 6 weeks. We're out here. We stayed with some friends for 6 days. And hopefully we're going to be doing the boat soon. And then once we have the boat, we have to do the push to get reliable power on the boat. And then we can start anchoring out. That's going to make my internet access even better. So hold on for updates on that. Those are coming soon, as possibly as late or as early as later Monday, June something. So stay sideways.